Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is Thursday, and we're here with our guest host, Miss Robin Shimisu and friends. Robin is in the studio. You know, we're always excited when we're graced with her presence. And so we just want to give you a shout out this morning before we even get started. I want you to see this smile because it makes me smile every time I see you, Robin. I want to give a shout out to Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva, my partner. She is on the road today, and we just wish her safe travels. In addition to that, I want you to know that Robin's got a guest who's in the green room right now. And she's going to take over the show right now, and she has something else she wants to share with you. And while she's doing that, I'm going to share the program out. So if you would be so gracious, if you're watching on the replay, we want to say hi. And if you're watching live, we want to say, hey, don't forget to share, guys. All right, so let's get this party started. Hi, Robin. What you got for us today?
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
How are you? You look beautiful, as usual.
Thank you. Thank you
So
much.
I was Googling last night, and I found this article on the 13 habits for a long life. And, you know, I've been kind of researching this just in my little way because of my mom, you know, being 97 and such a healthy, happy person. And I'm just trying to figure out what are the secrets to her happy, long life.
To her longevity, huh? And
you know, there are things that we already know. So I'm just going to really rattle them off really quickly. But the one that I wanted to highlight today was one that I'll get to in a minute. So they're all really mundane. We all know these happy, healthy habits to live a long life.
Do we really?
Yeah, we know them. You avoid overeating.
Oh.
You increase your nuts. You look at taking turmeric maybe as a supplement.
Okay.
You eat plant foods. So plants, you know, foods that are mostly made out of plants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stay active. So these are all just really generic habits that we all know about for, you know, for living. We just like to remind ourselves every once in a while. Stay active. Don't smoke. And moderate your alcohol. So there's 13 of these, and these are all scientifically based, okay? So they're all science related. So there's a lot of research going into long life and all of that. And they're pretty simple habits. Get lots of sleep. Drink coffee and tea. So drinking coffee and tea is great, which is a habit I love, right? I love my coffee. Be conscientious. Be social. And reduce your stress. Now, those are all huge categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can study each category on your own, even. I mean, they're just huge. But the one that really stood out to me was to prioritize your happiness. That was, and it was a consistent message with in all these articles that I was reading last night was about around your happiness. And this article said there were 35 studies that showed that happy people may live up to 18% longer than the less happy. Yeah.
I'm in agreement with them.
So happiness is actually science-based. So with that, we'll bring on Betsy because Betsy is she is a happiness coach and has gotten lots of training in this area. So I'm going to have her come in and she can introduce herself and tell us her story.
Okay. How you doing this morning?
Betsy Smith, my friend that I've been hanging out with lately, and she's my happiness coach. So yeah, Betsy, why don't you introduce yourself because people don't know who you are, and let us know your story and why you are a happiness coach.
Mm-hmm.
You had the absolutely. If we had coordinated your introduction, it couldn't have been better for a couple of reasons. But first, I want to say hi, everybody, and I'm grateful to be here. And actually, Biz Chicks is one of the reasons Robin and I met. When I first moved to Sacramento from Chicago 2 years ago. In the second month, I think I was here, I went to a Biz Chicks. I met Robin. It turned out we lived right near each other, and we've been great friends ever since. So I'm grateful to be here with you guys. And you talked about, and Terry, you always have a smile on your face. And I will tell you, Robin, you talked about living longer. The statistic is actually you live about 9 years longer when you're happy, and it's actually a better predictor of long life than even if you smoked. So that's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is the winner.
Yeah. And then you talk about your mom, Robin, and part of my story is my mom. I mean, my mom was, we called her pure positive energy. Just don't get in her way. And I wrote a book. Actually wrote a book called Simply Smart Brain Hacks, and it is based on my mom. I took the eulogy of my mom, which included a lot of the habits that she had. She lived until she was 96, and I started out my eulogy by saying, I said she lived 96 years going 100 miles an hour. And she did.
I love it.
She was amazing. She paid her bills on her phone until till the end. I mean, she paid her bills on her phone. She had an Apple Watch because she always wanted to be up to date with everything.
I would have loved to know your mom. Yes.
She was amazing, and she was interested in things. She was a lifelong learner. Some of these things that cause long life also are part of being happy. Being interested. People become stagnant, and we, like Terry, you were saying earlier before we started, we always want people learning. Well, that's absolutely a happiness habit, and it's incredible. So my mom was my kind of mentor. And I was actually born happy. Now, there's such a thing as your DNA is about 50% of your happiness set point. And now the good news is science has found you can actually even increase your DNA. But the big myth of happiness is that happiness is related to all the things we think the mountain we're climbing. We always want to have the next job, more money.
Okay, so Betsy,
yeah,
I'm going to put you in solo view.
Yeah,
we may come in and ask some questions, but I want people to be able to see the expressions on your face while you're talking. So hold on a moment. Okay, now talk to us.
So we all have a happiness set point, and the good news is you can increase your happiness set point. I actually have a test you can take, and before putting in some happy habits and after, but 50% of your happiness set point is your DNA. And the irony is that only 10% is all the things we think it is. The things we're chasing, the better job, the Prince Charming walking into our life, or winning the lottery, or the age-old one, when I lose 20 pounds, then I'll be happy. We're always trying to be happy when something happens. Mm-hmm. And that's not, the actuality is we have to find happiness now. And so, and then 40%, so 50% is DNA, 10% is all the things we actually think it is, building this life of all the things we're chasing, all the stuff we buy, all that stuff is only 10%. That means 40% is our habits and our thoughts. And I'll just to give a quick one, and then you can maybe ask some questions, but I don't know if you know, but we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And 95% of them are the same habits we had yesterday. Most of them are subconscious thoughts. Our subconscious thoughts are running our life. And 80% for most people are negative. Only about 30% of people would classify themselves as happy. But science has shown that the good news is we can change all of that. So that's kind of my start. And I don't know if anybody has questions, but I can go on and on and on because I love this stuff.
Well, the thing that I'm finding amazing is that this whole philosophy is built around the fact that happiness starts within. It starts wherever you are. Yes. It's a decision. Am I correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
Correct. And I want to say to people, because there's a lot of loss going on right now. And I want to say to people, that most of us have been through some major losses and have worked through that thing, and we're still standing. And one of the things that keeps us standing is the belief that happiness starts in here,
Yes.
whether you have much or you have little. And so it's a decision. Am I correct about this, Coach?
You are absolutely correct. And the thing is, so I'm a trained happy for no reason trainer.
Uh-huh.
And Marcy Shimoff wrote a bunch of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, but she also wrote a book called Happy for No Reason.
Mm-hmm.
And happy for no reason is not, it's not walking around with a smile on your face all the time. But, you know, it's not hiding what's going on. It's actually learning to be in yourself, find inner peace, inner calm, no matter what's going on around us. And Terry, that you talk about the loss, I think we've all gone through this pandemic, and the term that I heard recently that really resonated was ambiguous loss. We all have this like sense of ambiguous loss. Like, you know, the life we had 6 or 7 months ago is gone. It's different. It's totally different. And we don't know what it's going to look like when it comes back. But there's this whole kind of overwhelming sense of ambiguous loss. And yet when you can find that inner happiness, like you said, that choice, and I've got a habit I want to teach everybody before I go, but when you have that sense inside yourself of you know, just calm and peace, then you can deal with all these things around you, the things that are happening around you.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Does happiness center around our self-talk, what we say to ourselves when our subconscious or whatever we want to call it starts telling us we should be sad? Is it something that we can control by what we say to ourselves? Because I know that was one of the ways that I was able to navigate a lot of stuff. What I said to myself changed how I felt.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't physically true. You know what I'm saying?
So there's a mind-body connection. It's been proven that just the act of smiling, you actually mentally feel better. I do an exercise where I have people kind of curl up in a ball and try to say, I feel happy. Like we're all hunched over the computer all day, right? Zooms and whatever. And we're physically in kind of a hunched up position, which when you're hunched over and you say, I feel happy, you don't really feel that happy. But open your arms, put your head up and go like this and say, I'm depressed. And you really, and you can't feel depressed, right?
Correct.
So your mind, body, like the decision you're making. And the other thing is, you know, Terry, I'm sure, and Robin, I know, because I know Robin, but, you know, gratitude is a big thing. Because when we start being conscious of the things we're grateful for right now, we start scanning the world for more to be grateful for. And it kind of relates to the little habit that I'm going to give you guys. But yes, it is a choice. You're absolutely right. It's a choice from within.
Yes, because, you know, a lot of people have possessions and they've made it in business, but yet the happiness quotient is very low. So I'm not sure what's going on there, or how do you get happy? You know what I'm saying to you?
Well, so, and that's what I teach. I've actually got a free event coming up on the 22nd, kind of an appetizer, because of course these are habits. And as Dan Harris, I heard him say, habits are diabolically difficult to change. So we need kind of a tribe. We need a group to help us make some of these changes and hold us accountable.
Okay.
That's what I do. But I have at least 21 habits. I've got more actually, but that's in some of my longer term programs. That's what we go into.
Well, you know, here at Biz Chicks, we say your success is in your routine.
Yeah.
So, and your routine, it consists of your habits.
Yeah.
So if you have happy, healthy habits, Robin,
Yeah,
like you just shared with us, then your success is more likely. Does that make sense?
yeah, it's totally true. And
Okay.
habits, it's like it's you don't want to. So January 2nd, everybody
Mhm.
everybody joins the gym, goes on a diet, like makes all these grandiose
Mhm.
plans, and they by the end of January, it's out the window, right? So we want to think of habits as like tiny, small incremental changes. So it's an easy change.
Mhm.
In fact,
We were talking about this on Monday. We've been talking about it for about 2 or 3 weeks about how to finish,
yes,
how to set a goal and finish that goal, and to put it and to narrow it down into small chunk sizes, as opposed to, so if
yeah,
you're going to run 1,000 miles this year, you're not going to run them all in 30 days or 90 days. What you do is take that and divide it into smaller chunks, and eventually it's going to add up to whatever the big goal is. So is that how we do happiness?
yeah, absolutely. And instead of, even if you haven't been a person who does any exercise, take a 5 minute walk. Don't start out by saying, I'm going to go walk for 45 minutes. And then the next day you're like, I don't want to do this. Just make yourself 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. And pretty soon it's 10 minutes and in chunk sized pieces. With any
Mhm.
habit, I mean, Terry, you know that with business habits or with any kind of habit, if you take on a huge thing, you probably are going to quit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're looking for um, immediate gratification or immediate profits that exceed 6 figures, we have all these gurus. Robin, you know what I'm talking about. Do this and you're going to be a millionaire in 2 years or 6 months or 18 months.
Yeah.
Really, people?
Yeah.
Is that real? Mm-mm.
Consistency. It's consistency and it's mindset
Mhm.
and there are ways to do to make those changes. So yes, absolutely.
So, hi, Jerry. Jerry's in here. Jerry says, thank you. It's true. Yeah. Jerry, so do you have any questions about happiness? We have the happiness coach in the house, and Miss Betsy. And so if you have some questions about happiness, go ahead and put them in the chat. She's going to be having a free event, and we'll be putting that information in the chat. And you have a group. Is that true?
I have a Facebook group, so that's a little bit. We can be interactive in the group, and then you can stay aware of any programs that I'm doing and things like that. So, yeah, it's and I put happiness tips in there too. So
Okay.
it's a good
So
one.
now, tell me a little bit about these workshops. I love workshops. I'm a
Yeah.
workshop girl.
Well, we call it a play shop because you're learning about happiness, so it can't be that much work. But yeah, I mean, I just go into a little bit more in my long workshops, that kind of 8 week ones.
Mm-hmm.
We divide happiness into 7 pillars. So it includes things like the mind, body, purpose, soul. The things, spirit. What's our connection to some kind of whatever our connection to some power bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about all those different things. Each week we have a different pillar that we talk about, and then at least 3 habits to choose from within each of those. So, and then we get together and we talk about who did what and how they felt about it, and kind of encourage each other. And so it's super fun, and the habits can be pretty life changing. Some of them. I mean, one is like I talked about, gratitude, writing down 3 things a day, every single day, that you're grateful,
Mm-hmm.
because you do start scanning all those negative thoughts, those 60,000 thoughts, most of which are negative and repetitive. You start looking at, when I go for a walk, for example, I'll go sometimes and set the intention to look for the most beautiful flowers or really interesting bark formations or hearts. You can look for hearts. You'll find hearts, little heart shapes on the road, or
Mm.
it's what you focus on grows. And so when you're focusing on something more positive instead of all this negative stinking thinking all the time, it helps.
Okay. Well, we have a question here. Robin, you're muted, but let me put Linus's question up.
Yeah.
Linus says, what's the difference between joy and happiness? She says, I think I know, but would love to hear your opinion.
So I talked about, I don't know when you got on, Linus, but I talked about happy for no reason is really finding a sense of inner calm and inner peace so that you can respond to whatever is going around you without being reactive, basically. And so I think happiness is kind of a buzzword that people use, like, just be happy, just, slap a smile on your face. And
don't worry, be happy, right?
Don't worry, be happy. And it's easier said than done, right?
Mm.
Worrying is using your imagination to create what you don't want.
Mm.
And so joy to me is, this is kind of my thought, is joy is much more of an authentic, like when you are, I have new grandbabies, twin grandbabies, and oh my God, the joy that I feel just looking at pictures of them even, or watching a video, that's just pure joy, where happiness can get a little tricky, I think. So I don't know, Linus, is that what you think?
Yes, let us share your definition over here, so that we can see if we're on the same wavelength with this thing. Yeah. Okay. And while she's doing that, I am going to put the information for your free event. Could you tell us about this event?
Yep. So it'll be about an hour, maybe a few minutes longer, but I will just go through a little bit more about what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. and the importance of happiness and why we want to put in some of these happy habits. And so it's like an appetizer for learning, and you'll be armed with some tools for happiness. So it's, and it'll be, it's fun. I try to keep it a little bit.
Cost for the event?
No, it's completely free.
Okay, so I did say it was free. I was like, let me make sure. Let me check back in and make sure I've got the same event. Okay. Free. All right. And so when people join the happiness group, does it help? Are they finding happiness?
Well, the happiness group is more, because I put in different happiness tips and different positive sayings and things like that. And then we do some, people can ask questions and things inside the group. So I'm just actually starting the group. So we're just, I want it to be more of an interactive, people can ask questions like Linus just did.
Okay, so Linus has responded. Let's see what she says. She says, I think joy is something that sustains you and is ongoing regardless of your circumstances, whereas happiness can be something that is fleeting and not always lasting. But joy is something that you have even when everything around you seems to be going wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, we talked a little bit about that in the very beginning, that our, happiness doesn't mean just walking around. We think of happiness as the people that have a smile on their face. And there are a lot of people, in fact, I had almost a breakdown when I was about 20 years ago. And because I was born happy, and I learned having that smile on my face and being a good girl was beneficial. Being what everybody else wanted me to be, it got me everything I wanted. I thought I wanted, but it almost lost me everything because I realized that I was not being authentic, and so I had to kind of like hit this wall and start to learn some of these habits to learn how to be in sync, that my inside and my outside were actually in sync. And that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Robin's got her hand up. Robin.
Yeah, I want to say something.
Here, Robin.
So, Betsy, one of the things that I'm learning from you is that with happiness, it's kind of a practice. So it's something that it's like a habit, it's something that you grow as you become more aware, and you can actually change your neural pathways.
You can rewire your brain.
Physically, you can Yeah. So why don't you talk about that a little bit too? Because that's fascinating for me.
Because that's really what we're doing. We're rewiring our brain to
Mhm.
lean towards happiness. And so when, like I said, 50% of your happiness is from your DNA. You're born that way. Only 10% is the things we think it is. So we have that 40% that we can work on. And science now shows that when we start working on that 40%, that it actually can impact the 50%. So you actually have control over, like Terry said, when you make a decision, you have control over about 90% of your happiness. But it's a decision, it's making that decision that you want to institute some of these things. And, stinking thinking is so easy to get in our way. And so we want to really, that's why it's helpful to work in groups, because we keep each other accountable.
Yes. And I found that it really didn't start to what would you say? I don't know, manifest, show up, having
Mhm.
to really start to show up until I started saying these things.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
Today's going to be a great day, and I'm just so grateful, Daddy. I just thank you for today.
Yes.
And I'm going to get started. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Especially, and I know especially at a time when people are going through a lot of financial stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so because you're looking at somebody
A lot of
who
fear.
who has recovered from things like bankruptcy, loss of homes,
Yeah.
homelessness. There's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
all with degrees from major universities. Okay,
Right.
so these things don't necessarily control your happiness. It's what you decide is going to happen.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Do you want me to give this quick example that everybody can take away? Because I
Yeah,
know it's getting.
please.
Okay, so years ago, I was listening to Oprah, of course, my guru, and she had on a guy named Will Bowen, and he had a project called A Complaint-Free World. And he was, remember, the bracelets that people get. So he had one called that said A Complaint-Free World, and his point was that, and he sent it out. It's still available. I think you buy it now. I think he was sending it out free back 20 years ago. But the point was to have that bracelet, and every time you complain, shame, or blame, you switch it to the other side. So you're becoming conscious of your thoughts. How much you complain, because we do a lot of complaining, right? But we don't even know we're doing it. So I got that bracelet. So you're supposed to go 21 days without complaining, shaming, or blaming. Truth in advertising, I only went. I never got 21 days, but I wore it for about 2 years. I was talking to one of my kids yesterday and asked him if he remembered that, and he said, "Oh yeah," he remembered me wearing it. And so it's complaining, which is I can't believe it's raining again, or I can't believe we have smoke in the air again. All those complaints. You can if there's an issue, you can certainly. There's a difference between a complaint and actually. You're not just like ignoring things that are going on. You can say, well, there's smoke today, so I think I'll exercise at home, or like that. That's different than, I can't believe it's smoky again today. So complaining. Now, blaming is, I'm late for the meeting because the traffic was bad, and it's everybody else's fault, somebody else's fault. And with my kids, and they know this because it's like a family joke now, but back then I would say to them, it's never acceptable to say it's not my fault. I don't care if you get struck by lightning. I want you to figure out what you could have done differently to not get struck by lightning. What was your part in this? So you can't, in fact, I had a cartoon that had two little boys running up to their mom, and one of them said, "He started it when he hit me back." We're always doing that. It's somebody else's fault. And so, taking responsibility for what's happening in your life. And so blaming, complaining, and then shaming is actually self-blame. So shaming is, what's interesting is, so now I just use a rubber band. About a year ago, I was in a funk, and I thought, that's what I love about having all these habits that I teach. Like, I know them all, but I can't do them all every single day. but when I get into a funk, I can pick which one's the one. So I got this. This is from asparagus. It's just like
yeah,
rubber.
I got one of those.
Yeah. So I put it on, and I started being conscious of my blame, complain, shame, and I realized I would drop something, and I didn't even think I did this, but I would drop something, and I would say, Betsy, that was so stupid. I'm like, what? Why am I talking to myself like that? But I wasn't even conscious that I was doing it. So everybody can get one of these, or if you've got a family, you can even with little kids get little marbles or get poker chips or something, and everybody has a color, and they keep putting them in. And so when you get up to 10, then the child has to do a chore or something like that, so that the family starts being conscious of the times that they blame, shame, complain, and then everybody's in it together. So you can do it yourself, or you can do it with a group, and it's super fun. But that's really one of the first things, is to start becoming conscious of what our thoughts are.
Wow, I think I would get a rubber band.
Yeah.
Snap myself every time I say something I really don't want, because you should have what you say. And so if I snap, you really want that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe that will help me retrain my verbiage.
Well, and I'm guessing you are like a happy person, but I'm guessing that even
I tend to be happy. In fact, I was told by an employer once, "You have inappropriate smiling." Why? Because I came in every day. I was like, everybody's like, it's Monday, and I'm like, yes, because you can't go Friday unless you go through Monday, and they're like, okay. But what I did notice was when people had concerns, they would come to me and talk to me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, people, and we, as I mentioned with this contraction and expansion, when we live an expanded life like you and, Robin, like just this, you can feel the energy. When someone walks in a room and they're, especially if you've ever, had a spouse or something, they walk in and you're like, oh my God, there's like a ugh in the air. You can feel
wet blanket.
Yeah. Or when somebody walks in and they're in a happy mood, like you did at work, like it lifts, all the energy in the room lifts. And it's and so people do come to people that are more open and more happy. It's no wonder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, guys, we are at half hour, and we just want to say that if you have questions for Betsy, we put up her Facebook group. We also put up the Eventbrite link so you can register for that session with that she's having the workshop, and it is free. So I recommend that you go over there and get a ticket for the happiness workshop. And will that be virtual, Betsy?
It's going to be on Zoom.
Virtual, so do we really have an excuse? Okay. We don't have to get in the car. We don't have to, buy a ticket. We can register and show up for happiness.
And you can, so just, I'd love to have people, the more the merrier. It's fun. It makes me happy to be able to talk about this stuff. So
I know exactly what you mean. And that's why you do what you do.
Yep.
You said you do what you do because?
Well, because it puts me in the zone. Michael Jackson had his zone. I have my zone.
You know what? I know exactly what you're saying. I do what I do because it puts such a smile on people's faces when they have the transformation.
And I hate to make people jealous, but I lived in Chicago when Michael Jordan was in the zone, and and we got to go to some of the games, and it was like, when you see somebody like that, that's like living in that zone, it's amazing.
Wow.
So.
Okay, well, Robin, you want to tell us what's happening in the future here?
Yeah. Next week we have Jill Weston of the Breathing Space. So she'll be with us and help us with some yoga nidra or some meditation. And anyway, we'll learn how to breathe with Jill. So that's next week. And the week after that, we have Dr. Rogers, Secunda Rogers. So she'll be with us in 2 weeks. So we have we'll be filling out the month with great presentations. So it'll be fun.
You know what, Robin, I love your show because you always have such interesting guests. Betsy, I think happiness is such an important thing for the quality of life. I even call my budget plan my happiness plan. I just,
Good for you. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not even receiving that because budget just sounds so restrictive and it had so many negative connotations for me. I decided to rename it my happiness plan. So, so with that,
I'm going to use that.
Huh?
I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that if that's okay.
Help yourself.
Yeah.
I love it having, because I'm not really attracted to the numbers and because of what I'd been through financially, I didn't want to look at it. But when I renamed it, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It takes you down a different path. Robin, you look stunned.
I'm going to use that. That's brilliant. Really.
It just changed my attitude toward it. Doing my books for my business, doing my books for my personal life. It was easier to deal with when I wrote across the happiness plan instead of budget. So you guys out there in Biz Chicks land, you can use that. Get your happiness plan together. Okay. So with that, I want to remind you that tomorrow is Friday. And on Friday, we talk tech and English for business. So whether you're a techie or not, you want to tune in. Also, we're going to be talking a little bit about social media, what happened this week. With Dr. Tachi will be here, and TJ will be here from New York City, talking about different things going on with social media. So it's going to be a well-rounded conversation. And on Fridays, we sort of relax the rules and we just have all kinds of time to just get into these topics. So I hope you'll join us tomorrow. With that, I want to remind you, don't forget to go to the front of your own line. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. This was awesome.